On today's 2-Minute Tuesday, I'm going to give you 7 tricks to keep ice in your cooler longer. The weather's getting warmer here in Northern California, and I've had a lot of people reaching out to me asking me, how do you pack your cooler? How do you keep ice in there the longest possible amount of time? What do you do? Do you have any tricks? So I wanted to let you know some of my tricks and how I keep ice in that cooler the longest. So let's drop 2 minutes down on this clock. I'm going to run through these quick. Who am I kidding? I didn't come close to 2 minutes on this video because there was 7 different sections of this. And the video ended up being close to like 15 minutes long. So I trimmed it really far down. But doing that, I cut out a ton of section, a ton of content that I think is really valuable. So what I'm planning on doing is doing different videos on these individual topics. So if there's a topic that you're really interested in learning more about, or how I would cover it and why I cover those specific topics, put a comment down below. I will go into depth on those more in another video. Alright, so let's drop 2 minutes on this clock and let's run down this list of 7 things that I do to keep ice in the cooler longer. Boom. So tip number 1, pre-cool your cooler. You've got to, I set aside a whole day beforehand. I put big old ice chunks. I freeze some water bottles. Tip number 2 is almost along those same exact lines. It's cool or freeze any food or anything that you could possibly do that you're going to put into your cooler. So then when you don't go to the store and buy some off-the-shelf beer and drop that into the cooler, then your ice and things that are inside your cooler has to make that beer cold. Step number 3 is that cold air sinks. So what you want to do is you want to organize your cooler. You want to put the things that are the most important to stay cold at the bottom and then go up from there. The top of the cooler is always going to be the warmest spot of your cooler. Tip number 4 is bigger ice chunks last longer than small little ice cubes. So going to the local grocery store or gas station, buying a bag of ice is great and it works well. But if you can get the bigger ice chunks, those work even better. And that brings us to tip number 5. I think we're on 5. The fuller your cooler is, the longer it'll stay cool. So if you have a lot of space in there, then that space is just being wasted. So go get some ice and fill that cooler up as full as you can. I even try to have to squish ice and close ice down into there so that it doesn't have any space to expand. Tip number 6. I also use one of these things. This was a visor or a window shade that I cut up, and it has the rounded corners and everything. And I use this as a secondary lid. I put it on the top to keep air in. So when I open my cooler up, it doesn't let all that air release. Last tip, number 7, is just be aware of where your cooler sits. You don't want your cooler to be sitting out in the middle of the sun. You want to be putting it in shade or trying to keep it as cool as possible wherever that might be. I put mine underneath my truck at the end of the day whenever I can, and I just try to get it out of the sun as fast as possible. I move it into the cooler looking spots, into the shade of a tree or underneath the picnic table. If you have any other additional tips on how to keep your cooler cold, please put a comment down below and let me know what you guys do. I'm sure there's other ideas out there that I probably just don't do, or I've never even thought of. So please let me know. Hammer down on that subscribe button, and don't forget, keep crawling.